महात्मने नमो नमस्तेस्तु पुनर्नमोस्तु नमो नमस्तेस्तु पुनर्नमोस्तु नमो नमस्तेस्तु पुनर्नमोस्तु नमस्तस्मै सदैकस्मै कस्मै चिन्महसे नमः यदेतद्विश्वरूपेण राजते गुरुराजते यदेतद्विश्वरूपेण राजते गुरुराजते. So yesterday we discussed about meditation. Just briefly, a few sentences I will try to recapitulate. First point was, what is the aim of meditation? The aim can be various on the path, but the final aim of meditation is yoga. I define yoga as union or fusion, merger. The fusion of our egoistic, small, constricted identity which we think to be I, with the real identity which is universal, which really we all are. I explained in detail. So the meditational process will initially be to look within us. Why, etc. rationally I have established yesterday, will not repeat again. So we are born with our senses outgoing, our mind also outward looking. From there, we try to find out, who am I? Who is that who is looking in the world, who is seeing everything? And also it is not only the external world which are object before me, the I, but the internal world of thoughts, emotions, intelligence, any concept. Everything is either gross or subtle object before the I, the seer, the witness of the world. It can be the whole thing. You will understand that unless something appears in our mind, appears in our consciousness, we will not know it. All of you are sitting here, but this external world I am knowing, I am interacting with, is what appearing in my mind, in my consciousness. There could be so many other things. There are all air molecules and all. We are not knowing them. It doesn't appear. We are not bothered about it until we investigate into that. So whatever world we are interacting with, finally it is the world that appears in our mind, in our consciousness. In that consciousness, something is appearing as gross, external. Some other things are appearing as subtle, internal. All the things, they are all are artifact in the consciousness, their forms in the consciousness. Now when we try to find out who am I, we have to look within the body, because we cannot say that I can find myself there in the wall or on the roof. It is not possible. We feel that it's coming from within. We start looking within. But I said that when we started looking, when our rishis started looking within thousands and thousands of years ago, they landed on the greatest discovery of the human race, not only of India, but of the entire human race, because there lay all the solutions for life. They discovered that although when we start looking at ourselves, we look within the body, but when we reach there, we find that there is no body, no world, nothing. It is all only a consciousness. We call it a non-dual experience, non-dual knowledge, Why non-dual? Because in all other cases I am seeing something. The glass, I am knowing the glass, but I don't become the glass. It is different from me, the revealer of the glass, the knower of the glass. But when we talk about spirituality or Adhyatma Vidya, we are talking about our own real identity, our self. So more and more we come to know the self, the real nature of the self. Our feeling of the I, our knowledge about our own identity should undergo a transformation. Otherwise, the knowledge is only a bookish knowledge. It is not a real knowledge. Because we are not knowing about any worldly objects or anything. Here we are discussing about our own identity, the I in us. So more and that what we call Atma, or finally we find that the Atma is the same as Paramatma, Brahman, everything is same. That is a consciousness. Suppose there is a hill and you are walking, you in a cave, from a cave you suddenly see a small streak of light coming. And you want to see where from the light is coming, the origin of the light. So you have to walk in the cavern, in the guha, in the cave. You have to walk towards the light. You are walking towards the light, walking towards the light. Now suppose this is the hill and here was the cavern and you are walking towards the light. But actually the light is coming from this side of the hill through a small hole there, or through a cave there, the light is entering. As we walk towards the light and finally reach the origin of the light, that is, we step out of the hill, what happens? It is no more the small light coming through a small hole. Everything is in light. This is only an illustration to imagine how it is. Now what happens really is that as you walk out of the hill, suddenly you also become light and you get merged in the light outside. There is nothing other than the light. That is, earlier you are different from the light, you are seeing the light, you are trying to follow the light, you are trying to discover the origin of the light. When you reach the origin, then you also get turned into light. It is that kind of an experience. So everything becomes light. That is our real identity. So normally we are working with our small constricted I. With that we think we are suffering, we are enjoying, we are becoming agitated, we are becoming stressed. But finally when we discover our identity, we find that we are infinite, we are universal and actually, truly speaking, transcendental. In that consciousness, the whole world, which consists of our body, mind, personality also as a small speck, it is appearing, it is just appearing in that consciousness. Certain things are appearing as gross objects, certain things are appearing as subtle. Don't conclude that the world is mithya. Mithya, the meaning of mithya is far away. Meaning of mithya is not that the world is not there. This is why, because the whole world is an appearance in the consciousness, we call it mithya. But it is as solid as we are seeing the gross, it is what we are knowing, it is like that only. That is our appearance. Certain things are appearing gross, certain things are appearing as subtle. Now, in the process of discovering this real identity, which I am saying is the ultimate aim of meditation. And this is called non-dual experience. It is called Nirvikalpa Samadhi also. But Nirvikalpa Samadhi term is used in various cases. I am not going into the detail. But it is also called Samadhi, where there is, at that point, there is no thought, no world, no object, not even your own egoistic personality. It has all got dissolved in the consciousness and consciousness alone. Now, on the way to this discovery, we discovered that as a byproduct, I will say, of the process, we discovered that the source of joy is within. Because when we reach that point, we find that we are flooded with joy. So earlier we were looking at the world thinking that, yesterday I said we are born with the with an insufficiency, abhava bodha, an insufficiency. That is why we are always looking for joy. And we are born with a delusion also that something from the world will make us happy. Although we see throughout the entire period of time, nobody has ever become happy by getting anything from the world. Even if the whole world is given as our kingdom, then also we will not be happy. Knowing that also we feel that something in the world, something from the world will make us happy. And we run after that, thinking that this will make us happy. But the real source of happiness is right within us. Because of our outwardness, because of our desires, because of our agitations, we are not able to feel that happiness which is always there within. Yesterday I explained how the desires are preventing it, how the desires are redundant, and how instead of working for joy from getting something, we work out of joy when we understand the redundancy of desire. These things we have explained. Yesterday I was giving one example, I did not give finally during the question answer session, that suppose the light is coming from the sun, from the parallel rays are coming. You put a small mirror in that light. You can put millions of mirrors. Each will reflect the light and will have its own reflected beam. Is it not? With that reflected beam, you can see the world. By turning the mirror, you can see anything we would like to see by focusing the reflected beam here and there. Now, if the mirror thinks that the origin of that light is from the mirror, is it right? The origin is somewhere else. But this is exactly what is happening, is that the consciousness with which we are interacting with the world, which we call the awareness. In our case, we make a little difference from consciousness, we call it the awareness. That we think that the origin is only the body. Actually, the awareness which is coming from the body, which is limited to the body-mind personality, is only like the reflection of the light in the mirror. It is a reflection of the consciousness which we discovered to be our real identity. You get my point? So, how do you know that it is so? Suppose the mirror wants to find out, well, I am not the source because there is nothing like the source there. I want to find out where from the light is coming. So what will you do? The mirror will try to look at the source of the light. So will it be successful only when it turns towards the actual light? Is it not? As in our case, what are we doing? That I-ness, the am-ness in us is coming from within. And we are trying to focus our awareness towards that am-ness, towards that I, where from that I is coming. I is not the body, it is not the mind, it is not the intelligence, it is the observer of everything. Then what is this I? We are trying to focus our awareness, so-called awareness, or our attention to the origin of the I. That is why we are looking within. Like that, in this case, what will happen? You are trying to turn the mirror towards the original light. And if you finally turn it towards the light, then what happens to the reflected light? It gets merged in the original light. Is it not? Exactly that happens. That when we are turning, if we are successful, when we turn it towards the real light, the reflected light is not there anymore. It has got merged in the original light. That is why we said that it has become light. It has two conclusions from it. One is that it gives us a very good idea about our death, which we are scared of, which we are afraid of. It gives us the idea of why we are calling it immortality, this knowledge of truth, or the meditational fruition is the discovery of the immortality of ourselves, our own self. Suppose there are millions of mirrors. When one mirror becomes opaque or it breaks, it gets pulverized, then the reflected beam has gone, is it not? The reflected beam will no more be there. But has anything happened to the original light? Nothing has happened to the original light. That is why we say that when the body falls, although that body limited awareness has gone, nothing has happened to our real soul, the consciousness, the real Atma. Nothing happens. Atma is never touched by anything happening in the objective world. Because Atma is not part of the objective world. There comes the most difficult part of the discovery, because we always try to think of Atma also as I will see someday. That self also one day I will discover. Discover as what? Oh, in meditation something is called self, it will come to our knowledge. If it is something comes to our knowledge, then that is not the self. The self is one who is discovering it, who is seeing. So self by definition, it is our own self. It cannot be seen as different from myself. Do you get my point? No? If you see the self as something different from myself, then is it not an object before me which I am knowing? Just like the mind, just like the thoughts, the concept, I am seeing something different. I am the self, not that what I am seeing. So if people ask that who sees the self? No, self cannot be seen by anybody else at all. Self has to reveal itself. With the self, with the consciousness, everything is revealed. It reveals the world, external world. It reveals the internal world of thoughts, emotions, everything. And when there is no world, no thoughts, nothing, no signal state, it reveals itself. That is the self. So, yesterday we discussed that our greatest hindrance to reach this ultimate goal of meditation is this effortfulness, that we want to try to discover the self as something I am discovering, I am different from the self, which is not true. So the very effort to see the self or know the self itself becomes a hindrance, because it is making the self non-self. It is making the subject object. It is objectivizing the subject. बहुत कठिन हो जा रहा है क्या? Is it becoming difficult? If you keep away all your preconceived ideas, it won't be difficult. It is absolutely simple. Whenever we are saying self, means the self which is revealing everything, revealing our body, revealing our thoughts, revealing the world. Now, if that self is revealed by something else, that something else becomes the self. It will no longer remain the self. It will become an object before that. Even the sun is an object before the self. This is what the meditational aim yesterday we discovered. Now, why do we say that it is the panacea for everything in the world? Is that you discover that when we are freeing ourselves from the constricted identity to this transcendental identity, all our selfishness, desires, competition, blamefulness, or small, so many attraction, repulsion, everything will go. So that way it is the relief for our, great relief for our emotional part of the being. And also yesterday I explained that it gives us the clue to the absolute truth or the ultimate truth, the substratum of the whole universe, which is beyond the cause and effect chain. So the ultimate truth cannot be within the chain of causality. It has to be transcending that. The whole objective universe is moving by the chain of causality. Only the consciousness, which is not an object, which is the revealer of the universe, which does not undergo any change at all, so it is transcending causality. That is the substratum. We don't call it the cause of the universe. Then again we will ask, which is the cause of the consciousness? There is no cause. It is the substratum in which the whole universe appears to be. It is another way. The Shastras, they take the example. This mirror example is mine, but the Shastras give an example that suppose the moon or the sun is reflected on a lake. As many waves are there, suppose thousands and millions of waves are there, each will be reflecting the moon. Now that reflection of the moon will dance with the wave. Sometimes the moon will look half, sometimes three-fourths, sometimes full, is it not? The moment the wave subsides, the moon is gone. That particular moon is gone. Has anything happened to the original moon or the sun? Nothing has happened. It is the reflection which is undergoing the change with the wave. As the wave is changing, it is also appearing to change. Like that, we also think that I am becoming sad, I am becoming happy, I am becoming competitive, I am blaming. Actually, that I, the real I, does not undergo any change at all. It is the mind which is undergoing the changes, it is the intelligence which is undergoing the changes. And the awareness, it only gets mixed with this and gives an appearance that I am changeful. Actually, that I is never changing. Yesterday I mentioned that this never changing means it is not within the fold of causality. So whenever we are thinking of immortality, we should understand that immortality means something transcending causality. Otherwise it will not be immortality. Immortality means which is not having birth, not having death, not any changes between birth and death also. So it gives us the substratum which is transcending causality, in which the whole causal universe of tremendous energy, the galaxies are getting born, the galaxies are dying, the whole phenomena of energy is taking place in that consciousness. And that consciousness, what we call is the Brahman or Paramatma or Atma, whatever you call. By calling anything, we limit it. It is beyond all limitations, beyond all definitions. Now, if this is the great aim of meditation, why are we saying that the meditation, there are some limitations? We just touched upon it, that when we discovered this in meditative state and again come back to non-meditative, interactive state, we generally are again in the same soup. May not be fully as it was earlier because of the experience, there will be some changes, but our problems will not be over. That is why when you come back and you are again in trouble in the world, people are not accepting your point of view, you are getting agitated, you are getting affected by many things in the family or many things in the office or this or that, you are getting agitated. You try to meditate again and go to that state where you don't have any disturbances. So, does it mean that our ultimate aim of life is to always meditate so that we are free of all affectation, free of all agitation? That conclusion, many yogis and many people, they think in that manner and they try to remain in samadhi throughout. They go to some yonder Himalayas or so, or wherever they are not disturbed and they remain there. But our Upanishadic rishis did not stop there. They said that that cannot be the aim of life. Life is meant for activity. It is, we are not finding that truth in the wakeful world. That is why we are getting disturbed and affected by the interactive world, the wakeful world. We are trying to go into the meditation. Yesterday I said that why do you want to meditate? Is it not because you are not happy with your mind? Meditation means you are going to a thoughtless zero state or infinite state, whatever. If we are happy with our thoughts, our present mental state, will we try to meditate? Tell me. It is because we are not happy. There is always stress, there is always interactions, there is always frictions going on. between the intelligence and the mind, between the body and the mind, and so many. This aspiration, that aspiration, I want to have my career, but I have to look after my parents, what not. Everything is only creating clash. So, the Upanishads said that whatever experience we are getting in meditation, the discovery of the meditation, that the ultimate unity in which the whole universe is floating, and that is the ultimate truth, that has to be established in our wakeful state also. How are you going to establish it in the wakeful interactive state? You cannot meditate and drive the car. During driving car, you cannot meditate. So, there comes Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita says that you have to do any interaction with the same aim as you are meditating. In the meditation, what is your aim? You want to get to a state where it is a unified, transcendental state. There is no division, no fragmentation, no plus minus, so to say, no clinging to anything, to the likes, no hating the dislikes, nothing is there. Such a free state you want to have. Now, if we can understand that in the world also, whatever is our friends, our enemies, our likes, our dislikes, they are all appearance on that unified consciousness alone. When that gets fully actualized, then the world will no longer affect us. We will be free of affectation. We can run movement, we can fight war, everything we can do, but there won't be any affectation. We will remain unaffected by the world. So, it is to establish the same aim in our interactions, and Bhagavad Gita came out with the great discovery that it is our ragadvesha. Ragadvesha means we cling to what we like and we hate what we dislike. That is creating the affectation in the mind. So to go to a samatva, that kind of an uniformity, we have to treat this ragadvesha of the mind, that clinging to what we like and hating what we dislike. If that is done, then the world we will interact in, it will no longer bother us. Yesterday, did I not explain that it is not the fulfillment of the desire which makes us happy, but it is the elimination of the desire. When a desire is fulfilled, the desire gets eliminated, that desire is no more there. So for a small time, till another desire or another fear overcomes our mind, we are happy. Otherwise we are not. That is, we are intensely looking for something. When we get it, immediately we are happy. But when we are happy, at that time the small desires, fear, anxieties, they are not there. But immediately afterwards or within a few minutes, again some other fear, some other desire, they come over and we lose that happiness. It is only a short-lived happiness that we have. So, the happiness we got, which was because of the peaceful state of the mind when the desire got fulfilled. That means when the desire got fulfilled, the desire got eliminated. It was no longer there. It was fulfilled. In that fulfilled state, the ripples in the mind they were not there. So we could, the joy which is the natural property of our soul, we could feel that joy. Again, till another disturbing element comes and makes our mind ripple. Now, if that the natural conclusion will be, if you eliminate the desire right in the beginning, then you will be always happy. But the problem is, we will ask that without desire can we work? Yes, we can work. The whole nature is working without desire. The earth is running around the sun, the moon is running around the earth, the plants are growing, the flowers are blossoming. The whole nature, there is no desire at all. It is only our human beings who are having desire. Everything is, they are blossoming with their natural capabilities, natural qualities. A red flower is blossoming as red, a small grass flower, white grass flower is blossoming as a small grass flower. There is no lack of beauty. It is our attraction for maybe deep color and big size that we are attracted to the big rose. The grass flower is equally beautiful. And in there you will not find the grass flower looking at the rose is thinking, oh, that is so great, I also would like to become like that. If grass flower would have thought like that, then it would not be beautiful. Its face would have become teda, distorted. That is what happens to us when somebody else, my neighbor, is prospering more and seeing that we want to become like him and not able to become, then we lose our cheerfulness, our pleasant state. That is always happening. So in nature there is no desire at all. Similarly, when we eliminate the desire, automatically, naturally we become cheerful. It is the desire and the corresponding offshoot of desire, that is anger, fear, anxiety of losing something, or fear of facing something I dislike. All these are creating the cheerlessness in us. They are taking away the natural cheer, natural joy of the soul. So when the desires are eliminated, we naturally become joyful, and from that joyful state we do whatever to be done, whatever work is there, whatever we are capable of, whatever is needed by the society, according to that we go on working. This is the working attitude of what Bhagavad Gita presents. So it is not that we will not work without desire, but we will work perhaps much more than what we do. Suppose the earth started thinking that I am running for so many millions of years, nobody has appreciated me, today I will take a little rest. What will happen? If the earth rests for even a fraction of a second? But it doesn't think like that. We only think like that, oh, I have worked for this institution so much, nobody has ever appreciated. I don't want to do it anymore. If you feel that it is worthwhile, it is for the society, you do it. I always say that our Swamiji has been speaking for 65 years or more, or Swami Bhumananda Tirtha ji. So, suppose he was speaking out of desire, then he would have stopped speaking long back, seeing the result, seeing the condition of his devotees or disciples. That nobody is understanding, nobody is growing, they are all in the same. Will he feel like speaking again in that case? It is because of the desirelessness that they can go on working, thinking that even if a little benefit is there somewhere, let us take, let us go. He is 86 years old now. I think he is going to come again in September, October here, having that big global Bhagavad Gita convention. It is not out of desire that he is doing. He feels that Bhagavad Gita is such a great text. It is not at all a religious text. It is for the entire world, if they understand this redundancy of the desire, and that all of us always say that I don't have time to meditate, I don't have time to do puja, I don't have time to read Shastras. Bhagavad Gita tells us repeatedly that you don't have to have any special time for your spiritual evolution at all. It is any time for, specially for that, but all the time has to be for this only. How? Not by stopping any work, not by coming away from any work, but doing the work with the yoga attitude, with a complete different mindset. What is the different mindset? All our activities are led by, we think that by doing this, we will have this, we will have that. Say, by working, I will have money at the end of the month. With the money, I will have this, I will have a building. If I can have all these things, my family will be happy. If my family is happy, then I will be happy. So what is the last point of our all effort? Is it not becoming happy? Although we never have become happy that way fulfilled. But we think that this will make me happy. So the last point of, the desire is to make us happy. We think that we will become happy. Often we misunderstand in this series of our activity that the Bhagavad Gita says you renounce the result. Bhagavad Gita does not say anything about the objective result at all. Let us understand for once and all. Bhagavad Gita doesn't say anything about the objective part, because objective result of a work is a natural consequence of the law of causality. Suppose you are coming, every step you take towards this hall, you are approaching the hall. The effect of walking is reaching the hall. You cannot say that I don't want the result, I don't want to come to the hall. Because you have to come to the hall, we have walked. Suppose you open a factory to produce a car, and when the car comes, you are not supposed to renounce the car. No, I don't want the cars at all. I only wanted to do the factory. It is not at all like that. Even Bhagavad Gita defines yoga as equality in success and failure. Does it mean that we will do the work without thinking of the success? Then why should we do? Suppose you are studying. Is it not to pass the exam or to get through through somewhere, in some institution? If you don't want the result, will you ever work? You will not work. And what is this result there? It is a natural objective causality, following causality, whatever comes. We cannot tamper with that. Objective result is a natural consequence of whatever we have been doing. What Bhagavad Gita says is the result-oriented mind which is always thinking that by this result I will become happy. Is the internal result they are talking about. Renounce that part, that only success, if I get success, I will become happy. And I am afraid of failure also correspondingly. When I am thinking that by success I will become happy, I am afraid of having failure. I am fearful of having failure. So this mind which is thinking, linking everything to my happiness, my success, my failure, that mind has to be treated. It has nothing to do with the work. When we are doing any work or any project, it is absolutely essential that we always think about the product, that what is going to be the final output, result. For that we have to put all our effort, we have to go to all people, advisors or experts. We can get their advice and do it in such a manner that it is successful to the best of my ability, to the extent it is possible. If you already have no, I don't want success, I don't want failure, then you cannot do anything at all. But somehow this understanding has gone in widely in the society. I don't know. It is absolutely impossible. Objective result. Suppose a lady is carrying the embryo for 9 months and finally she is delivering. Will she say that, no, I don't want the child? Is it not the part of the 9-month effort that the child is growing to be delivered? It has nothing to do with when we say the equal-mindedness, evenness towards success and failure, we never mean that the success and failure are same. Whenever we are doing something, we are doing for the success only. But the mind should not think that by success only I will become happy, and the failure I will become depressed, and fear of failure, and always thinking of the success. That actually by thinking like that, our mind is not on the project. Mind is on that I will become happy. Truly speaking, when we are thinking that will I be successful, will I not be successful, if I fail then all money will go, all the investment will go. Actually you are thinking of the wrong, it is not the objective result you are thinking of, you are thinking of the subjective result. Is it clear? So this is Bhagavad Gita practice which makes our life absolutely peaceful and mind placid. That if we can get rid of this desire and the corresponding fear and anxiety, then the mind remains unaffected in everything. So what happens is that our interactive life also remains unaffected, like our meditational unaffectedness. When we are happy with our mind and the mind is only producing good thoughts, inspiring thoughts, noble thoughts, we will not like to meditate anymore. Why should we meditate? The mind is itself producing the joy, making us fulfilled with its state. That is called the state of fulfillment. He will not even want to meditate, he will not look for anything from the world, but he will be acting tremendously if necessary, depending on the necessity, the need of the world, and also his capacity, he will be doing it. So, here what I am saying is the limitation of the meditation we were discussing, that meditational effort only takes us to that meditational peak state of samadhi. But to have the benefit transferred to our active life, we have to apply our Buddhi Yoga of Bhagavad Gita. It is called Buddhi Yoga. That is the intelligence-based yoga. Understanding the fact that what is desirelessness and what is this life, what are we supposed to do, and how can we remain unaffected, so that the meditational fruition of peace and fulfillment will be also had in the interactive life even without doing meditation. So the goal of meditation will be fulfilled by the interactive life also. So that is the limitation of meditation, I said, which can be overcome by the knowledge of our real self as well as the world. Through the question answer, I think we will be able to clarify more. So let us see.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
In the context of your discourse, where would you place the definition of nirvana?
See, nirvana is used in our scripture also, but it is a Buddhist concept, more popularly known, but we also have in Yoga Vasishtha Nirvana Prakarana is there. It means liberation, it means freedom from all the bondages we are suffering. That means as long I want to become good, but I am not able to become good. I want to have the self-knowledge, but I am not able to have self-knowledge. All these are bondages we are suffering from. As the mind gets freed of all these affectations, limitations, constrictions, that is the liberation. So nirvana in our Upanishads, it is called Jivan Mukti. It is not nirvana after death when the body falls. That is called Videha Mukti. But what we aspire for, what we have, is Jivan Mukti. That is while living, we feel the sense of freedom. As I said yesterday, that you will find that it is our non-acceptance of situation which causes all the stress. If you want to get freedom from stress, you have to understand life properly, which will make you free. Suppose a person has lost his job, lost his property, lost his relatives, everything. He is standing on the street and wailing, howling that, why, oh Lord, why me, I have lost everything, crying and all. Now, let us examine his state, that he is suffering intense stress, suffering in his mind. Is it because of what has happened, or because of the non-readiness of his mind to accept whatever has happened? Whatever has happened, it is past in time. So you cannot walk back to remove it. What you can do is further you can work for redress. That is accepted. Can you go to the past and do anything? No. Is it not? So it is the non-readiness of the mind to accept whatever has happened that is causing the stress. The moment he understands that, well, it is past, so I have to, it is gone, it has happened like this. Immediately you will find that the moment he accepts it with readiness, the whole stress will go, and he will immediately perhaps be able to see how to redress the situation much better. Earlier he was just crying and wailing, not finding any way. Here the way will come in front also, he will be able to redress also. In any case, wherever it is the non-acceptance of some imagined situation or some happened situation that we are undergoing all this fear, anxiety, everything. Suppose we have some, initially money is a need, you work for money, you have money. The more and more money comes, initially money was giving you happiness. After some time you become slave to the money and you are afraid of losing the money. So it is not giving you happiness, it is giving you unhappiness. But it is only because you are not understanding your mind, your life. We have got money. You can have any amount of money, but not becoming slave to money. You can have any amount of comfort, but not becoming slave to comfort. Always this is causing the stress in our mind. Once we understand the world in its real light, our mind becomes absolutely free. It goes on doing whatever it is doing. In fact, our scriptures describe this state of Jivan Mukti as Sahaja Samadhi. There is a term called Sahaja Samadhi. Yatra yatra mano yati tatra tatra samadhaya. That means wherever the mind goes, there itself is samadhi. Generally samadhi we have in a meditative state, the peak of meditation, where the fusion of the ego, where there is no duality at all, is called samadhi. But in his case, he is not missing the truth anywhere. Whatever comes, goes, it is all in nature as a natural phenomena. So he participates in that phenomena like the trees, like the flowers, of course with the additional quality of human quality of intelligence and willpower and all. Whatever to be done, he does. So he remains absolutely free there. That is called the liberation and all. Is it okay? No, this is called Nirvana because the Nirvana word is used mostly in Yoga Vasishtha. That is why I said that Nirvana is not used so much in Upanishads. I have not found. It is not there perhaps. Yoga Vasishtha it is used because Yoga Vasishtha was written after Buddhism. Yes, they are equivalent, I cannot say, because in Buddhism, Nirvana concept, Jivan Mukti is not there. It is a release from the world. It's of a different time. But I am not an expert in Buddhism, I cannot say. But in Yoga Vasishtha, Nirvana is used parallel, absolutely in equal sense as Jivan Mukti. The last two prakaranas are called Nirvana Prakarana, of which two parts are there, Purva Bhaga and Uttara Bhaga. But maybe they have used the term because Yoga Vasishtha was written in 10th AD or so, it is after Buddhism. And it has Buddhism referred in it, so it must be a later text. Give the microphone to
Hello, Namaste. Swamiji, I have a desire for moksha.
That is also to be dropped, but not now. The shloka for that, a little Sanskrit you should not be allergic to. When I refer, these are the authenticity of the Shastras we refer to, that Bandho hi vasana bandho moksha syad vasanakshaya vasanam tvam parityajya moksharthitvam apityaja. What is he saying? This is also from Yoga Vasishtha, no? Aravindan? He says that the bandhana, all the bondage is created by vasanas, then the desires. Vasana means desire. Desires are the only bondage. And moksha means the freedom from desire. So it is moksha, we start with various concepts of not getting born in another womb or so. It is not so. In spirituality it is not so. The freedom from desire, the desires are binding our mind, putting the mind into bondage, creating the affectedness, all kinds of trouble for the mind. The free of all troubles, being free of desires, is the moksha. Now the second line he is saying that vasanam tvam parityajya. What will you do when you are intensely desiring for moksha? For that you will leave all the desires for the world. That is what they are saying. Desire for all worldly objects, worldly comforts, or even meditational joy also you have to leave. Because that is also a desire for enjoyment. Leaving all, vasanam tvam parityajya, moksharthitvam apityaja. You leave the desire for moksha also. Because that is the last hindrance. Why? Because you are still wanting something. Is it not? That means you are still thinking yourself to be body-mind limited small personality. So that is reinforcing your smallness. Is it understandable? So when you leave that desire also, then you become absolutely relieved and it becomes natural. See, initially they will speak about so many concepts about Atma, Paramatma, everything. But if you go to the end of the Upanishads, they are all speaking of desirelessness, desirelessness. That is the ultimate. So Bhagavad Gita has actually attempted this right in the beginning. They have shown this is the greatness of Bhagavad Gita, the fallacy of this desire, the redundancy of the desire. And if we are able to understand this, that is why they are calling it Buddha Yoga. The understanding has to happen in our intelligence. Once we do it, we will be able to course through the world, not leaving any activity. So it is not running away from the world in search of divinity, but divinizing the world itself. By your attitude, your world will be divinized. The world will remain as it is, but to you the world will be divinized. So when the ragadvesha of the mind goes, the world becomes absolutely divine to a person. Any else?
Yeah.
Oh. This boy 4 years back had introduced me in Manoj's in his institution.
Swamiji, so if the ultimate goal, like you said, is to free yourself and stop yourself from clinging to things that you like and hating things that you don't like, wouldn't you?
Hating things you don't like.
Dislike, yeah. And making sure that the world has no effect on you, wouldn't your life have
world has?
No effect on you?
Yeah.
Like the world wouldn't affect you. Then wouldn't your life have no meaning since nothing would matter to you?
No, the life will have very great meaning. Actually, because we are, as I am saying, the slavery you have to understand. Suppose you want to play and your mother doesn't allow you to play. Don't you get very disturbed and agitated about it?
Yes. Yeah.
That is the trouble of the life. That when you want to do something, you like something, if you cannot do that, it agitates you. Similarly, if the mother wants you to eat some bitter items and all, what do? You don't like. So it is constantly troubling our mind, this likes and dislikes, clinging to likes and hating what we dislike. So when that is not there, then whatever to be done, what is good we will do, whatever to be shunned, we will shun. So the life becomes very peaceful, joyous, full, I would say. It may not be joy of the usual kind when you play, laugh and all. It is not like that. We call it placidity of the mind. The mind will always remain placid, like a lake. There will be waves, but nothing will be disturbed.
So then you would find internal happiness.
So
then you would find internal happiness.
What happiness?
Internal.
Yeah. Your happiness will be not only internal, eternal. Not only internal, but eternal. You understand?
Yes.
Now our happiness depends on some world situation or world object. If that is not there, we are depressed, we are not happy. Then that is why we are saying you will not work for being happy by playing you think you will become happy. At that time, you will do everything out of happiness, not for getting happiness at the end of the work. So will you not be able to do much better in that case? Suppose now you are studying thinking that I will have a first rank in the class or very good grade in the class. If you don't get, you will become unhappy. If you get also, you will become a little egoistic and elated about it, which is not really happiness. That also creates stress in our mind. If you look into your mind, you will find that also creates stress. Now, if you think that happily I will study, as long as I have to study, I will happily study. You start loving the subject you are reading. You study very well, whatever to be done, etc. When going to the exam, whatever you know you can write. You will not be afraid of if I get less marks or more marks. Those thoughts will not be there. Exam is for writing what you know. So whatever you know, you will write. So whatever the result it will happen, it will be the best possible for you generally. So the life becomes very, very, what? You tell me? Is that not only internal happiness, we don't call it actually happiness, we call it placidity. The mind will always remain placid. If suppose in suffering also, somebody has died, we cannot accept the situation. Oh, why he died, why it is for me, oh God. We don't accept the situation. But when you understand that the nature cannot exist without birth and death being together. Suppose if nobody had died, will you be able to live here? How many people would have been there in USA? It's millions and trillions of people. There won't be any work for anybody to do. It's impossible. Anything in creation, something is getting born and something is getting destroyed.
Yes.
Without that, there cannot be any creation. Like that, human beings are getting born, human beings are dying. So, death, it is a natural phenomenon. Normally, people become old to die. Sometimes you will find very young, your friends also sometimes may die. You will be sorry, thinking of you will suffer, but you will not wail and howl that why. No, why? It has happened. You will accept. You will shed cool tears that, oh, I remember that so many good things he had done and all. That also will give you a joy. It's a suffering also will become a joy. It's a different kind of a joy. That is the state of the mind, we call it placidity of the mind. Prasada is the Sanskrit word. It remains in suffering, remains in sorrow, remains in happiness always. It happens only by becoming independent of the outer objective situation and world. We become completely internally dependent. Not dependent, we become free. That is the freedom, that is the nirvana. Okay?
Thank you.
Namaste Swamiji.
There is a Bengali song I always quote, Rabindranath Thakur. He says, Jeke ho more diyecho sukho, diyecho tari porichoy, sabare ami nomi. Jeke ho more diyecho dukho, diyecho tari porichoy, sabare ami nomi. Those who have given me happiness, are you following? Those who have given me happiness, through that happiness, O Lord, the universal truth or God, whatever you may say, the ultimate truth, they have, through that happiness, they have given me the touch of you. You means? Of God, Bhagavan. So I prostrate before them. Those who have given me suffering, through that suffering also they have given me your touch, O Lord. So I prostrate before them also. Then he goes on saying, whatever has gone away from me, that means we lose so many things, no? So many things go away. Even our relatives die, they go away from us. Whatever has gone away from me, through that going away, they have taken me closer to you. They have pulled me closer to you, O Lord, so I prostrate before them. Whatever has come to me from outside, through that, they have brought your touch to me, so I prostrate before them. It's like that. Your mother can find out the song for you. It's a beautiful song. Huh?
Very good.
Do you understand these things? Huh? Yes. Huh?
What you were saying right now,
What you're saying, yes, he's able to understand.
Very good. So my saying has become fruitful, so I will be happy.
Swamiji, my question is, I'm sure Krishna and Arjuna had many conversations. Arjuna may have had questions, Krishna would have given answers. I just want your thoughts on what is it about the context in which this whole Gita, that Krishna gave to Arjuna. Can you talk about the context that makes it so powerful?
Context of?
Of the actual situation in which Bhagavad Gita was delivered. Because Krishna and Arjuna may have spoken many times. But somehow this context and Krishna chose to give this elaborate sort of response. So what is it about the context that makes Bhagavad Gita so powerful?
See, briefly I can tell you, generally it is a subject of quite a few days lecture there. But one thing is that we should not, can you switch off that? It is resounding. One thing is that, how do you keep it a little away from the mic speakers? That we should not neglect the background setting of each scripture has got its background setting, and there is the meaning. Here, Bhagavad Gita, the setting is war background. The meaning is, can you imagine a more involving activity than a war of that kind? It is not the modern day war that you are sitting in an AC room and calling somebody and asking him to drop the nuclear bomb or pressing some switch from here. It's not like that. Krishna, they have to fight in the field with the weapon, get killed, kill others and whatnot. We even, with the farthest imagination also, we will not be able to understand the state. So much of involvement. If in that involvement the spiritual pursuit can be done, then can anybody come with any excuse that I am an IT professional, I don't have time to pursue? Because no special time is necessary. In that, what was Arjuna's mindset and how it was changed? In one point, the first chapter, 45th verse, in some book 44, he says that Ahovata mahat papam kattum vyavasita vayam yat rajya sukha lobhena antum swajanamudyataha. He says, oh Krishna, you should remember that the first chapter is a lecture by Arjuna to Krishna, not Krishna to Arjuna. It's all, Shankaracharya has not interpreted it, saying that it is all pralapa. Pralapa means a madness, out of madness he has spoken. But whatever it is Arjuna's mindset. That, oh Krishna, we are going to commit one of the greatest sin. Why? Because yat rajya sukha lobhena hantum swajana mudyataha. We are going to kill our own kith and kin, my most beloved grandfather and the most respected teacher from whom I have learned archery. We are going to fight them for what? Rajya sukha lobha. That I will gain the kingdom and the greed for enjoying the comfort of the kingdom. That is his mindset. Whereas Krishna is saying, no. The whole Bhagavad Gita is saying, it is your desire and you are wrongly thinking. The whole war is designed only to establish righteous rule on earth. Because the kings were earlier, they were all having this knowledge, they were all Rajarshis, they were ruling the kingdom with great honesty and everything, that with quality. Power has corrupted, and as the era after era, there is always an up and down. That is the nature of society. So kings have left their goodness and they are all involved in corruption and various other things. So I would like to establish a righteous rule on this earth. For that we are fighting this war. Maybe hardly anybody will survive, and it is so, only 10 survived. So you should not think that you are fighting for winning the kingdom. Nobody knows that you are going to win or so. You may not win. And even if you win, for a good king, the kingdom is never something comfortable. It's like a crown of thorn. So there cannot be, if you feel that I will enjoy the kingdom, there is no truth in that. Everybody, a good king will suffer the kingdom, not enjoy the kingdom. So you are fighting because you are a fighter who has contemplated on this war and as an instrument of establishing the righteous rule. And for that Bhagavad Gita was given. How? It also works that suppose he is able to kill Bhishma, to whom he was very much, as the boy was saying, that liking. He was his most beloved Bhishma, on whose lap he has grown. He had to kill him. Can you imagine the conflict, mental conflict? And Arjuna was not able to do. Twice he tried. Finally, Krishna went ahead saying that I will take the Sudarshana Chakra. Although he promised that I will not take weapon. He said, I will my promise will be broken. I will take the Sudarshana Chakra and kill Bhishma myself. So he ran. Arjuna fell at his feet that no, I will kill. But his arrows were not moving. We can understand from the description that how much of emotional problem he was having. So with that he did. Now when somebody is able to do that, the other side is also true. Previously he was always thinking of fighting Duryodhana out of hatred, out of enmity. Now when the mind has to be taken to that level where it can kill the most beloved person, most respected person, it can kill Duryodhana also without any hatred. So this is the Ragadvesha. Ragadvesha is the core point of Bhagavad Gita. That how that transcending Ragadvesha liberates us from all constricted mindset. Does it answer your question? You will find it's very interesting when why it was given to Arjuna and not to Yudhishthira, who was the senior most. You will find that Arjuna had the surrender, which Yudhishthira did not have. And that can be seen from the further conversations also. Every night in the camp there would be trouble. The brothers will fight, there will be conflict, there will be so many things. Krishna had to solve all that. And there we can see that Arjuna is giving a long lecture, but the end is the same for each lecture. That, but Krishna, you are a knower of truth. Whatever you say, I will do. Then Krishna tells him to do something. He does it. Again picks up something. And again at the end he says, but Krishna, you are a knower of truth. Whatever you say, I will do. And he does also. It's very interesting. I feel like telling more about this, but let us answer the question.
Swamiji, how do you compare Yoga Nidra and the state of meditation?
That our Manoj will be able to say. Why didn't you go to his school?
Namaste, I'm Manoj Joshi. So actually I do Yoga Nidra and meditation both. So if you look at the Ashtanga Yoga, there are 8 limbs of yoga. Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana and Samadhi. So Dhyana is the meditation, which is 7th rung. And 5th one is Pratyahara, which is Yoga Nidra. So Yoga Nidra helps you to withdraw from the objective world and go into the subjective world. And meditation happens as a state of mind when you go through Yoga Nidra. So if you do anything like Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, everything leads to meditation. So meditation is a state of mind where you go to inner self. So Pratyahara or Yoga Nidra is a technique to get into state of meditation. Little technical sort of difference, but you won't know. Because when you do Yoga Nidra, you never know when you go to the state of meditation also. It's just like sleeping. When you sleep, you don't know exactly what time you sleep. Because sleep happens to you. There is no particular way of sleeping. Likewise, there is no particular way of meditating. You go into the state of meditation by doing certain things. So Pratyahara is one of those techniques to enter into the state of meditation. Thank you.
See, this there are various concepts, Yoga Nidra, Laya, Jada Samadhi. These, I don't think theoretical discussion on these matters, because it will not be clear, because they are experientially defined. So, if you pursue, if you practice meditation, you will enter into various states of the mind and body. And if you go into the various yoga books, they are distinguished also. They have their own shade of differences in that. Suppose those who are pursuing for attaining self-realization or all, they are always cautioned about Laya. That people will enter into Laya in meditation. Laya means your intelligence and everything, it goes into a stupor, but it is not sleep. Then they would not have defined another state like Laya. Jada Samadhi, we have seen some people getting into becoming like stone. They are in Samadhi, but it is not at all good. They are always cautioned that you should avoid that. Whenever you find that some people have the tendency, to go into a sort of a stoning, it's not at all good. Seeing their face also, you will find that children will get terrified, scared. So these, when you practice, you will encounter and then you will need the clarity about it. So to know. By theoretical discussion, it won't mean so much because there are so many things, so many kinds of samadhis are there. Our Gurudev has written a book in which 24 samadhis are discussed. But there are many more. I am saying he has discussed only 24, giving various quotations from the Shastras, Tantra Shastras and various other things. Each is different from the other. But unless we pursue and we get into that, they are only of theoretical interest. But suppose you are doing something and you are encountering some problem or so, then they become really helpful. It comes and you read it and you understand that, oh, acha, this is what it is happening, I don't want this, I have to do this then, those things. Suppose people, those who get joy in samadhi, by that joy they get trapped. Why? So far they were looking for joy in the world, in the external world. Now the moment they get the joy within, they get trapped by that. So Gaudapada Karika clearly says that don't get trapped by that. Then you are lost because you will not be able to discover the self. Every time, every day you will look for the joy, look for the joy. So it is the same, we define it as bhogecha. Bhogecha means our tendency to enjoy something. That is the ultimate hindrance to our sadhana. Because tendency to enjoy means what? You are believing that there is something to enjoy. That is, it's different from you. You are looking for a state to enjoy. This tendency to enjoy is the last hindrance. Once we can get rid of it, then the non-dual experience can happen. Because this tendency to enjoy will not allow the non-dual experience to happen. Because you are enjoying something else. The duality is still there. In Upanishad, it is called Ananda book. Anyway, these are any other question relevant?
Pardon me for going back to the original question. Is somewhat related. In Gita, there is mention of the soul enters body to body and never dies and so on. And in my experience with Vipassana and whatever little Buddhism I have grown to understand, that the state
Achha, one thing, I made a mistake. In Bhagavad Gita also Nirvana word is there. Nirvana Paramam. Paramam.
There is
18th chapter it is there.
In Rig Veda, there is a whole Upanishad called Nirvana Upanishad. So anyway, so the question is that in Buddhism, my understanding of the state of Nirvana was that the soul is liberated from taking rebirth because it has reached that state of Nirvana. And I was wondering if in the context of your discourse on Upanishads, how do you relate the two concepts?
I can tell you, but you will not accept, and I don't know whether it will create some conflict in your mind, because there are two things in our. One is the religious concepts, another is spirituality. For spirituality means when we try to inquire into the truth. Now, even when we are pursuing the truth also, we never deny or decry the religious concepts, because religious concepts are meant for the most of the people, the whole society. It is to bridle the society, keep the society on the auspicious path. But because most of the people will not understand the truth, because truth needs lot of abstraction, even the truths of physics are not understood by people. This is the last thing which is going beyond causality and all. People will not be able to absorb. Not only that, they will misuse also. Not understanding fully, it may cause confusion in people also. So generally for the society, for the religious people, for the whole mass of people, the religious concepts are given. Our religion is based on 4 pillars. What are they? The concept of a God, the concept of heaven and hell, the concept of karma and concept of punarjanma. They are all interrelated, it is not separate. Concept of God, punarjanma, karma, heaven and hell. Now suppose God, I already said that the God, ultimately when we inquire into spirituality, it is our own self, that I-ness in us, that is the ultimate God. Even in devotional scripture like Bhagavatam, it is said that Vadanti tat tattva vidaha tattvam yad jnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaniti shabdyate. That the knower of truth, they say this non-dual knowledge is the ultimate truth. First line. Second line he says, that non-dual knowledge is called Bhagavan by the religion, Paramatma by the spiritualist, and Brahma by the philosophical understanding. Brahma means not Brahma, Brahman. That means the ultimate consciousness. Now the question is that if Bhagavan is there, as I said yesterday, the concept of Bhagavan has come from the causality in the objective world we see. Everything is causal here. So naturally, it is natural for us to ask that what has created, who has created this world? Is there not a cause for this world? There should be a cause for this world also. So there must be some God who has created the world. It is a truncating the cause actually. I said that our question doesn't end. We should ask who created God then. So this is the religious limitation of the religious concepts. When we go into spirituality, we understand that ultimate is not in the objective field at all. We have to transcend time, space and causality to get to the truth. Similarly, heaven and hell. Nobody can ever prove that heaven and hell are there. Neither they can disprove that heaven and hell are there. Can you say that the heaven and hell are not there? You cannot say. We don't know. Can it be there? Can you prove? No. So, like that, whatever is not experiential, Shankaracharya was extremely clear about it. He has given the clear instruction for the spiritual pursuers that Svargadau Anubhava Anarudhe Shanka Syat Asti Va Nava Iti Anubhava Arudham Tu Jnana Phalam. He says that whatever is non-experiential, like Svarga, Naraka, etc., always there will be doubt whether they are there or not there. But Jnana Phala, the spiritual self or whatever the knowledge is given, that is all experiential. When your mind becomes free of stress, you experience, others will not know the freedom from the stress. When the mind becomes liberated, you will know that what is liberation. Any spiritual attainment, it will be known by the person who is doing. So when we take to spirituality, we have to clearly sift between experiential and non-experiential and take to the experiential part of it. Experiential does not mean that always it will be bodily experiential. It is an experience of buddhi, experience of understanding, all these things, everything will be there. So punarjanma is a term which is used in a very limited sense. If there is any truth about it, one thing we have to understand, it is not one-to-one as we think that the one Atma going from the one body to another body like that. It is not in that sense. It has to be in a different sense. Moreover, in spirituality, Atma is never plural. Na jayate na mriyate va kadachit. It does not get born, it does not die, it cannot be cut with the sword, it cannot be burned in the fire. These are all from Bhagavad Gita and other Kathopanishad also. Because what is that Atma? Atma is nothing in the objectude, not in the objective world that you can interact with it like that. Atma can only be known as that amness in us, the revealer of the entire objective world and subjective world also. So Atma you will never find in the scriptures or Bhagavad Gita used in plural or even Dvivachana. It is always singular. Atma is something, a concept which never can be touched, never gets affected, never gets tainted. No change can be thought about it because it is, any change means it is in the objective field. It cannot be in the Atma. Then it becomes object change. So the spiritual Atma is not that Atma which is considered in religion as Punarjanma going from body to body. Now, my statement as a physicist, I will say that if such a thing is there which goes from when the body dies, some entity goes from there to another, then it is one day for science to discover, not for us to bother about it. Because we don't have anything to do with the objective. The Atma we consider it is not in the objective field. So, if it is extremely subtle, something is there, one day science may discover with the better way, because it is something moving. It cannot be the Atma of spirituality. It is something going from here to there, means it's in the objective field, we are knowing it, we are seeing the Atma, or we are knowing it going from here and there. Now this Punarjanma and all, it is extremely essential for as a religious code, because otherwise people will be losing their various things. To bridle the society it is important. And if at all, it is another thing to think that one-to-one corresponds. Suppose in the sea or in the lake, there are so many waves coming up and subsiding. Is it that the wave A which came has become the wave B fully now? The millions of molecules in wave A has gone to spread over different waves. Even the forces operating in A now has given rise to various other waves. Like that, suppose when we speak about, say, let us say Shankaracharya. Now, the Shankaracharya we know, what is he? We don't know about his body much about it. We know his philosophy, we know his compositions, we know his poems, everything. So he represents a certain entity in our mind intelligence complex, is it not? A concept in that. Now suppose I feel a lot of identity with whatever Shankaracharya has written. Then it is in a way I can say I am an incarnation of Shankaracharya, but it won't be one. There will be like that thousands of Shankaracharya in different era who can identify their mind with Shankaracharya's mind. Forget about Shankaracharya, it can be with Rabindranath Tagore, it can be with anybody, Mahatma Gandhi, that it is the identity they are feeling. So, is it not in a way the reincarnation of that? Is it not that the Shankaracharya's mind is still living in thousands of people in the world? Is it not Rabindranath's mind is living in part in thousands of people in the world in different era? That is the Punarjanma in real term. But the religious model, it's a model, and it's a very simplified model. We don't generally speak about it, it may destabilize people, because suppose the question is, I am very honest but I am suffering, the other man is corrupt, he is flourishing, what is this judgment? So naturally our religion will say that, oh, you are suffering, you don't know, because in your previous life you have done something gravely wrong, and it is the karma of that, it's the result of that. And the person who you see that he is corrupt but he is flourishing, actually in his previous birth he has done very good things and he is reaping the benefit of that karma. Now you don't know also that this man in the next life is going to hell where he will be fried in hot oil. So it is not going to end, his corrupt ways are not going to end here, in the next life it is going to happen. And if you remain honest, in the next life you will be born in such and such family. Bhagavad Gita also says you will be born here and there. So it is essential to keep the society bridled. Now we always disfigured the religion also. This karma theory means nothing other than causality. It means causality. So, why a special theory is there? Because the usual gross causality we can see, but the subtle causality we don't see. Many things happens in our mind which we don't realize that it is the result of something we did earlier. We are suffering from something. Suppose we have not looked after our parents. Something we misbehaved also, and they have died. Then the mind starts picking up the suffering of that. So it is suffering, suffering, suffering. So our people, knowledgeable people, they would say that, well, your mind is suffering, you do this jajna or that jajna, then this suffering will go. It will go, because what they are doing, your suffering is caused by some incident back. Now you are doing some auspicious act or something by which that will be treated. The question is the treatment of the mind, nothing else. The mind has to be treated. And if by that it happens, it's fine. Now the karma is given to make you responsible for anything happening in your life. By that what is happening? But we are referring to karma that, oh, ye to hamara karma hai. That means you are not understanding that you are responsible for that. When you want to get away, shrug the responsibility, we say it is my karma. That some situation in life, we want to say that it is my fate. Karma is not fate. Actually, any situation in life, they are saying that even if in this life you are not able to see the causality, in the previous life is the cause. The cause is there. That is, you are responsible for whatever you do. Can you understand? It's a very great philosophy in that. They are making you responsible for everything happening in life, although Daiva is there as a fifth factor. But grossly, you are responsible for anything happening in your life. But we are using the karma in a different sense, seeing that it is my fate, that means I am not responsible. Okay? Not okay.
No, this what you just finished saying in the last 30 seconds is written extensively by Bertrand Russell in 1911.
I don't know, I have not read Russell.
He's an atheist, and I aligned a lot of his writings and writings of many of the modern authors like Richard Dawkins, who go into all kinds of discussions like you have presented.
I have presented from pure scriptural point of view. I have not read the Western philosophies. We have to leave, no? No. Please, ask. Yeah.
Namaste, Swamiji. With respect, in conclusion, what do we do now?
You become free of the selfishness we are suffering from. If you have selfishness, smallness in the mind, if you cling to many things you like, if you hate what you dislike, all those things have to be removed. Look within and do. Wherever you find, your mind expands. We can always know the world is always coming with two baskets, that you choose this or you choose that. Choosing A, if you feel that there is an expansion in my inner mind, there is a lightness, there is a strength within, then choose that. If choosing B, you feel that although there will be a lot of external property gain, external fame gain, so many things, happiness, etc., but still my mind somewhere becomes heavy, somewhere becomes a little fearful or weak, then don't do it. In Kathopanishad, this is called Shreyas and Preyas. Shreyas means whatever takes us to the ultimate auspicious goal. And Preyas means which is immediately pleasant, but it may take us away from the auspicious goal. How to identify? The thumb rule is this: look within and find out what gives you expansion, lightness, strength, inner strength. That is the path.
Thank you.